Why should I? I should read the Bible. By the Inspiring Christian. Before I begin this article, I will caveat it somewhat by saying try not to confuse the writings of the 66 different books that make up the canon of the Bible as it currently stands, as well as the related material not included in this canon, such as the Apocrypha and the Pseudepigrapha, with the religion that you've been exposed to over the past 2,000 years. They're not, or at least very rarely, the same thing. Churches in the UK, to me at least, appear to be little more than community spaces these days. They don't much teach what the Bible is saying, and nor did they satisfy my interest and curiosity in understanding what this was. In fact, the church and what I saw of organised religion put me off taking the Bible as any kind of serious or valuable source of spiritual reading material. And what a great shame and waste of potential that was. The Bible can open itself up and reveal its true and deep metaphysical messages to anyone, should they have a willingness to work with it and learn what it's saying. I can honestly give you my own experience as an example of this. So, I first came to the Bible, I'd say in a more serious and dedicated fashion, as a result of someone who then, and now even more so, embodies a way of being that I respected and wanted to emulate somewhat. And amongst his other offerings, he also quoted passages from the Bible often. When I spoke to him about this initially, I was so ignorant of the layout and structure of the book that I even had to ask what the numbers meant. Matthew 5:1, the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 1. Obviously. I didn't know that back then. So one day, I sought out a Christian bookshop in my local town and went in and bought my own, quite smart, maroon, leather-bound copy of the New King James Version and settled myself down to read it. As another somewhat blush-worthy admission and indication of how sweetly naive I was about the book, I thought there was an error in my copy. And as I flicked through the first few books of the New Testament, I saw the same stories and material repeated, sometimes similar, sometimes verbatim. I assumed this was a misprint. I thought that the printers had made a mistake. And while I obviously came from a family with no spiritual or religious inclinations whatsoever, like most people I had heard of the Gospels, and Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, of course, but I didn't really know to what they referred, or anything about the books themselves. And thus began my education. So armed with very little other than a desire to see what it really said, and armed with the memory of some Bible stories I had learned at primary school, I settled into acquainting myself with Scripture. Approaching the Bible as a beginner, I decided to simply read it through to the best of my ability and with an honest and open heart, willing to put aside any preconceived ideas and prejudices, distaste, or even derision I may have had of organised religion, the church and its religious practices, and I attended only to the book itself and its contextual messages. What did it actually say? And perhaps more importantly, what did it actually mean? The writings themselves have slowly begun to open up, and the more I read and reread, the more it reveals its once hidden meanings to me. It's an ongoing revelatory journey, and perhaps most surprisingly, a very exciting one. To tell you the truth, I'm completely astonished at how relevant and applicable it has become to my everyday life, to my interpretation of life-related concerns and events, and how I see it unfolding, not only worldwide, but in everybody's life, in fact, whether they realise it or not. Many a time I've come away from reading or listening to the audio version, and some new understanding has dissolved into me. Some Christians I have read about phrase this as something coming into their spiritual understanding. It is indeed a revelation. This new understanding changes how you approach, think, feel, and see things. In fact, it changes you as a person. In my case, for the better. I've also heard it being described as the grimoire par excellence. And this may cheapen the experience somewhat, I feel, but one can perhaps understand the sentiment. It's not simply an intellectual exercise. It is an embodied and living reality. You come to realise that the source of our being, our God, truly is not the God of the dead, but of the living. And over the years, with a combination of listening to high-quality biblical scholars speak learnedly, providing referential evidence, understanding the context in which it was written, and alongside my own meditations, contemplation, and investigations into the source texts, I've come to gaze in awe at its construction. Beautifully crafted poetry and incredible literary devices. Even if you only studied it for literary purposes, you couldn't fail to be impressed, especially given the time spans over which the individual books were written. And that's without beginning to grasp its message. It is, if you pardon the reference, something akin to a magic eye. An image once hidden, though searched for, is now so bright and clearly obvious it cannot be unseen. In fact, you begin to wonder how you missed it at all. And as I continue my study, Scripture reveals to me deeper and deeper insights. Truths I hope to be able to share to aid us all in navigating our sojourn here well. I'm excited to listen and excited to read it. I do wish everyone would give it a try. And if you don't like reading, listen to the audio version. Actually, listening while going about your general chores can create a space for a deeper understanding to seep into your very bones. I've put a link below to a site I listen to for its clear human voice and simplicity in style of reading. A human voice, rather than an artificial voice, is of paramount importance. Don't underestimate the power of the spoken word. Spirit himself can speak through it, regardless and sometimes even without the individual speaker being aware of it. This is truth. So I put my earpods in, I relax, and let the words wash effortlessly into me. And I hear something new every time. I'd say persevere if you can. In the beginning, I did have breaks where I didn't read it for short periods and allowed the patterns of the book to work their impressions into me. But I always returned with a deeper intent. Now I'm excited to read it daily. And as I come to understand its metaphysical truths more and more, I'm only spurred on and encouraged to learn of, apply, and share its message. I ask for guidance and to be graced with understanding often. You can, of course, still come to God and His truths without reading the Bible. It's a big and challenging read. So if you can't face it but have questions, have a look at the resources page, contact me, or find someone who embodies the attitude and level of awareness you trust, and who can explain any confusion and difficulties to you. It is worth your considered attention. Its messages run deep. Not only will it change how you view the world, it will change you if you let it, albeit sometimes indirectly, and sometimes even without you noticing at first. It can, if you let it, bring a sense of lasting peace to your life that nothing else in this temporal world can match. Old patterns decrystallize, and a new, brighter, clearer pattern glows forth. It truly is a magical body of work. I should read the Bible. Thanks for listening.